Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series Challenger Day 1. We have one best of 5 left to bring you. It is the most one-sided matchup, I think, close to ever in WCS.
Yeah, I think if we're given odds, Zeal is like plus 2,000.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way. Like, Zeal, we don't really know anything about this guy. He took out a couple of pretty good players moving his way through the qualifier to get here, but he's playing Hydra, who finished second place last season. Like, this is not a matchup.
I've actually played him like maybe 10 or 15 times on ladder, both in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, but mainly in Legacy of the Void. I've played a lot of Legacy of the Void with him, and he's a powerful Protoss, but when it comes down to it, like, I also played some of the Koreans, and it just, like, their aggression is... It feels just different. It feels like you're playing against two people and you're in Archon mode. It's just unreal.
Yeah, for anyone curious, Zeal defeated players such as Masa in the qualifier that he qualified in, Warren, a pretty good North American Zerg, Sir Robin, and No Regret. So he went through actually quite a few Zergs to get here. So, I mean, you could say that ZvP is a matchup that he should be comfortable in, but...
I believe he took out Scarlet too.
Yeah, it's Hydra. Yeah, in the later ends.
In one of the earlier qualifiers, he took out Scarlet.
So good PvZ, but still,
it's Hydra.
It's Hydra.
I mean, we talk about Scarlet being one of the best in North America and also one of the best all-time players that are foreigners, but Hydra's one of the best all-time players ever.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's
pretty good.
I mean, he's looking so strong.
Yeah.
Some of the players that he's played against recently, Hydra.
I mean, Hydra finished.
Oh my God.
He not only had the second place WCS finish, he finished second place at Gfinity. Only like a couple weeks or so, less than even I think against Parting. Where it's like, okay, he lost to Parting of all Protosses.
And I would say at IEM Katowice when Zest won. Overall, even though Hydra lost in the round of 16, I think his matches against Hydra were the closest series that Zest has ever been taken to throughout that whole tournament.
Yeah. It's going to be really tough for Zeal if you guys want to keep throwing us your shout-outs, your predictions, who you're cheering for. You can always tweet at us, hashtag WCS, and tweet at StarCraft, and let us know how you've been enjoying the first day of Challenger. We've got a lot more games coming up tomorrow, but this will be the last best of 5 of the evening. So let's see if Zeal can make the dream alive. I'd be blown away to see even a map, just a map, I think would be monstrous for this guy.
We'll find out as we move into the game with the top right-hand position. The red Zerg, it is, of course, Root's very own Hydra. Root for Root.
Oh, boy. And we can see that little blue dot moving across the map, Greetorp. He's bringing out the wheel of cheese. He knows how heavy the odds are stacked against him. In the bottom left position, he is Zeal.
So I know you love to mention different types of cheese. Is this going to be Gouda?
I think Rotterdam yelled at me enough. I'm gonna say it could be a Gouda cheese. It could be Gouda, as the Dutch would say it.
Oh.
He yelled at me enough for mispronouncing it. Maybe it's Swiss.
He needs to be a monster though, if he wants this to work.
That's true. I don't know if he needs to be cheesy. I think he needs to just go ham if he wants to defeat Hydra.
Cheese and ham.
Yeah. That's
a powerful combination right there.
Combination, Greetorp. And, you think about it realistically, if you're playing against someone who, in a million years, you should never be able to beat, you might as well just do the builds that could theoretically give you the least amount of opportunities to screw up.
That's right. That's right. Like, the earlier the game, the less decisions.
The less decisions, the less stuff you have to do.
Exactly.
The less opportunities for you to mess up and lose the game.
And the less opportunities your opponent has to discriminate his or her skill against you. That's
true.
What you want.
So when you think about it, technically this is like one of the best choices that Zeal could possibly
100%. Zeal is playing out this first game perfectly.
Let's be honest. It would be really silly of Zeal to try to out-macro Hydra. I don't think that's going to happen.
I agree. Look at this. He hasn't even used a Chrono Boost.
No, he's all
there
for
he
the
goes.
Zealots. And Hydra's going to the gold, too.
Oh, baby.
So this game, I mean, technically, the resources invested there actually hurt him quite a bit.
Yep.
This pool...
So do you wait for 3 Zealots, or do you go with 1?
I usually wait for 3 because I'm I mean, that's just how I play. I don't proxy 2-gate a whole lot, Greetorp, as you may know. But,
so, important to note that if you wait for 3 gates...
There's no spine on the way, so I think he's okay.
If you wait for 3 gates, or 3 zealots, the Overlord just gets into the natural and sees too late. So it just makes sense, in my opinion, to put pressure on, but it depends a lot on your micro, too.
He immediately starts the spine crawler. The zealots get into actually a pretty good position where the drones can't really drill that well against them, and now he's actually slicing and dicing against these drones. Zeal is dealing a pretty good amount of damage. I think he can even get on top of the spine crawler.
Wow.
Hydra needs this to win the game.
Not a good position for Hydra to be in, but the first queen does pop out. We're going to see if it's going to be enough, though. Units tab, not showing many Zerglings out. 1 out, 4 on the way.
Yeah, but Zeal's ahead in workers now.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable.
No, I don't believe it. He's got another couple zealots on the way. That spine crawler should finish. The hatchery does get injected by that queen, and the zealots are immediately making a beeline. He knows that spine crawler signals the end of the game.
He might have. Yes, it does. He definitely needs to do that. I think he went too far in, though. Possibly. Oh no, the hatchery was canceled. Never mind. Okay,
so what does he do from here? He just has to keep building zealots? Like,
yes.
In theory, if he started, I guess the larvae should help him catch up in workers if he tried to just macro.
It will, but if you constantly make zealots, you don't have to worry about that. And Hydra is misplaying right here, sending
moving that spine crawler has actually opened up the opportunity for him to actually lose this game again. He needs
Zeal,
that spine.
He should not have chased it like that. You could just walk off creep and then maintain your zealots and keep growing that count. The higher the count is, the better it is for you to be able to do massive damage.
They scale exponentially against Zerglings because you can start to body block for each other.
That's right. And look at this. Now Hydra knows that there's not really an impending doom waiting on him, and he could just send out his Zerglings, counterattack the main base, and then just win the game. I mean, trading off those 2 zealots was the worst spot for Zeal to be in, but he just wanted that spine crawler, because if he kills the spine crawler, obviously it opens the door, but the spine crawler just is a little bit too fast.
Yeah, he tries to push in once again. The spine does get pretty low, but the Lings have been allowed to deal tremendous damage to these zealots, and they're all cleaned up once again. Zeal with his zealots finishing up once more, and his probes under attack. I think this is going to do it for him here in game 1.
That's right. I mean, so close.
He actually had a very good start to this.
He had a wonderful start.
For a 2 gateway push, that was a fantastic beginning to the game.
I mean, if you look at it, 95% of the time Zeal should be winning at that point. He killed so many drones. He was able to surprise his opponent. The first time that Hydra was able to see an incoming attack was when the zealots were already stepping onto creep. That's not a position you want to be in when you're defending against a 2 gateway push. But
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really thought that Zeal had a big chance. Like, when he got it down to like 7 drones versus his 9 probes back home, and he still had those 2 zealots. Like, as he was picking off the first spine that was under construction, like, he's actually gonna do this.
Yeah.
But Hydra just.
He's a sicko, man.
I don't even know how he did that.
He's a sicko.
Like, he just microed his Lings and his drones and his queen, and he's just like, no. He's held up his hand. He's like, no.
What's cool is the drone push that he did. Like, he told all the drones to go to a certain mineral field, and then he attacked at the same time, and it lets, like, drones able to stack up and then be able to do, like, 30 damage at one point instead of, 5 damage from a single drone. So that's really important to actually note. Hydra knows a lot of his micro tricks, and he was able to showcase that here.
Yeah, that was just good control by Hydra to win in a position where I think probably most Zergs, if not all, would die, really. Like, anyone that he plays against on ladder will probably die in that position. Map number 2 is going to be Echo, another 2-player map. What does he do here? He's still drastically...
I don't think you can open up with 2 zealots or two gateways anymore.
Maybe that's why it would work again, Greetorp. But the main base is much smaller.
That's mind game in the mind games. It's a double bluff there.
A double bluff. Well, I think the main base is too small to hide anything there, so you'd have to do it in the natural, which I think is even more risky.
Yeah.
You have a further distance to go. You can block the ramp off. No. All right, so he's got to do something else.
I don't know,
pretty much.
I don't know.
I don't know, Andre. This is pretty much. He's got to find something else. Something else, maybe equally crazy.
We'll find out.
I got nothing. Hydra's a monster.
I wouldn't mind seeing like a fast forge +1 4-gate.
Yeah,
I'll do that from time
I'll go
to time.
for it. Let's do something crazy.
Or this is the sickest mind game. Okay, you go 4-gate but you do a proxy nexus. So he's like, oh man, I'm getting 4-gated. Really?
But
Zeal's going
really,
macro.
he's on 2 bases.
Exactly.
Hidden Nexus first with a Forge, and he's like, oh my god, I'm getting Cannon Rush. Where are the cannons?
Oh, I wouldn't mind Cannon Rush either.
Maybe
No,
maybe just goes full Haas. Currently up 1-0 in the top left position, representing Root Gaming. It's Hydra, who undoubtedly expects to make another top 4. I think last season he pretty much called it. He was going to win it all, and he got very close. His opponent in the bottom right, the blue Protoss Zeal.
Representing Brawl Esports.
If you could do anything as Protoss, imagine that you're Zeal, and someone just basically hands you a blank check. It's like, go ham. What do you do? You can execute any strategy perfectly. Which one do you do?
I think we just talked about it.
We just
talked about it.
You just cannon rush him?
No, it's a bluff.
You
we go 4-gate Forge into a proxy nexus, into another proxy nexus on the top left, or the top right and the bottom left. Wow.
So steal his 3rd base, but make him think that you're being so aggressive that he knows he can't take a 3rd, so that you mine out his 3rd by the time he realizes...
not his 3rd base. The bottom left, top right, those positions, you know?
Ah,
tricky, tricky.
That's still really tricky. I don't know. That's too deep 5 me, man. I can't handle that.
Instead, he's just going to go for a Nexus. 15 Nex.
Nexus first versus Hatch first. Well, now Zeal is playing the dangerous game of... We already talked about this in the last game a bit jokingly, but it is true. You know, the longer the game goes on, the more opportunities for mistakes or displays of skill, as you put it, from Hydra. And, like, after getting Proxy 2-gated, Hydra's just like, nah, that won't happen again. I'm just going to build 2 hatcheries.
Man, you were so right. We should have double-gated here.
I think, yeah, 2-game again. Should have just Nani-Watt him, like he did versus Hyun at the finals of Intel Extreme Masters New York.
Yeah. We should have done it, dude. We made a mistake.
We've made a drastic mistake.
And now he sees the spawning pool, and Zeal's like, man, I should have proxy double-gated.
It's like, this is the map where I should... Well, I still proffer that this is a really bad map for that because of the size of the bases, but... Where does he go from here? We still have a bit of time, I guess, before we find out, because he's just now getting his cybernetics core. But let's look at the... You know, we could open up the Protoss Tome of Cheddar, as it were. And I think some of the more popular choices on the menu are the 7-gate all-ins.
7-gate all-ins.
7-gate is a very popular choice, monsieur.
I think so. You know, it is important to note, this map in particular is really good for force fields.
Yeah, that choke point by the 3rd base, even if you break down the rocks, I think if you go for a big push, you can knock them down anyway. And I think the force fields by the 3rd can be really good. Also the natural. You could cut off the natural and attack the 3rd because they're so close to each other, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of different type of... I mean, going into later stages of the game is good for Protoss. Going into the later stages against Hydra is bad for anybody.
For anybody.
So what do we do here? We're caught between a rock and a hard place.
I tell you what I don't think he's going to do. I don't think he's going to open up Phoenix into Colossus into trying to play out the Brawler Death Ball style.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think Hydra will dismantle him in a bloody mess if he tries.
I think
so
we
got to
do
do
a Roddy
something
build.
crazy.
I think that
do
works.
a Roddy build.
Do a Roddy
Charge
build.
Phoenix.
Charge Phoenix Dark Templars.
You know, I think if you were going to try to catch someone like Hydra off guard, he probably doesn't play versus people who do that build very often.
I bet you he does not.
Didn't Bales? Someone swung that out in one of the qualifiers. Or there was some tournament I watched recently where like a Protoss did that. And no, Zest used it, didn't he? Some really good Protoss actually used it recently.
To be honest, if you know it's coming, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, of
but
course.
if you don't know it's coming, and
if you don't play versus... Oh, bad start. No, the first sentry! Well, already another rough start as Zeal's going to lose potentially a few probes here to these Lings. That sentry alone is a massive loss. Oh, good probe micro. Okay, cleans up. But still, get back to work.
Sad beans, bro.
So what is he going to do? He's taking his next 2 gases. Is he... He hasn't actually started any tech, but he's got all these gases. What is he?
Twilight?
What is he doing?
It has to be Twilight then. That's the only thing that makes sense.
No, he's not going to mine this gas. It must be bait. But there's no Overlord. Oh, there is an Overlord watching.
He could
So he could stop mining gas in his main.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
He's not.
But he could have.
But he could have.
It would have been sick. I love that you mentioned that too, because not enough people do that when they do like those 2 gas all-ins. Just get the double assimilators, 150 gas. That's 1.5 zealots. It's okay. If it means that your opponent's not going to make additional stuff. Just go for it.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know. I'm grabbing at straws
sad.
here. This Zealot gets caught. Zergling speed, Roachwarren, Lair on the way, all the beautiful things in life. He's just gonna go straight up to a third base.
Wow. Okay. That's
okay. With +1 attack on the way, this is exactly what Zeal's gonna do. It's just this hoping he can get the third. This is very similar to what Pili Pili did on Vonnie Research Station against Kane, and he just wants to get +2 and just mass stalkers.
Yep.
He's gonna go full CJ hero on this one, or at least try.
I think that's a completely reasonable build for this map.
It's the strongest.
Especially.
It's the strongest play you can make against pretty much anybody without having to put a crazy amount of thought into your strategy. It gives you a very powerful attack that is less preparable for. Like there's no like, oh, okay, I scouted it, I'm gonna win easily. He has. This is where Zeal can use his micro that you mentioned to give him an advantage.
Do you know what the sickest cheese would be?
Which one?
If he didn't cheese at all.
I still think that Hydra is playing middle of the road enough that he's not concerned.
I do too, because a lot of players, when they know they're playing up against like a really cheesy player, which, by the way, Zeal is not a cheesy player. We're just kind of identifying that because Hydra is such a powerful player.
Hydra is so good that it would be silly of Zeal to try to play like Zeal can't go into this thinking he's going to win a 30-minute long game.
I agree.
He's got to make this push, and this particular one doesn't have to be game ending because we see the Twilight Council on the +1 very close to finishing up, so he can get +2 very shortly. But the idea is this pylon forces out a lot of units. He can make a big push with a lot of his sentry energy, and then just recall. Like as soon as he knows he can't deal more damage to Hydra, he just taps out. Just goes home.
I love how Zeal is doing this, though. Look at the production tab. You can see a robo popping up. A Twilight Council was made. He pushed out onto the field. What this is trying to do is say, hey, Zerg, max on roaches, please. I'm doing some sort of push. You need to defend against my incoming attack. And he has that recall. Oh,
no. Few sentries. Run for your life.
Zip sentries.
There's no roach speed. Go.
Go, Gadget, go.
Oh, man. I don't know if they can make it. No. Oh, they're definitely not going to make it now. They're just running off into the abyss.
Well, he was trying to force out roaches, which he did. Force out units, which he did. And try to get the Zerg to max as best as possible. The problem is, Hydra is a little bit too experienced. He knows, okay, I know my opponent probably is going into some sort of macro. Let's not... Oh, no, he doesn't have enough sentries.
I mean, Blink and +2 aren't ready yet. He manages to come up to this wall. A couple Lings actually do slip by. And these roaches are just going to bull force their way through. He's not really worried. That force field, I mean, he can still run these roaches in the natural mineral line. There's nothing really there to defend. And now these roaches with speed are going to come down and fight against these unupgraded. He doesn't have Blink. He doesn't have +2 yet.
He's dying on all sides. You can see the main is actually being ravaged. The natural being ravaged. And also, on top of that, his Stalkers were losing for the most part.
Yeah, now the Mutalist transition has begun. Hydra just swarming over Zeal now. The new American hope is being buffeted back by this Korean veteran here in WCS Challenger. 31 probes lost, and this is a very, very tense situation for him. I mean, Hydra just can't be stopped now.
No, he can't. It's so unfortunate, man. I mean, Hydra, the reason why he's been able to get such a huge lead is not only the openings, but more so the drone count. Hydra being able to identify exactly what his opponent is doing, saying, okay, I can drone up for a very long time. I've gone 3 hatch before pool, don't forget that.
Yeah, especially with how fast the third base was. Like, he knows that there's no big attack possibility from Zeal. Even though he has all those sentries, his gates and his blink weren't ready yet. There's the Mutas, there's the GG. Hydra now up 2-0 here in the World Championship Series Challenger. I don't think this is a surprising result. I'm just wondering what Zeal's going to try to bust out in game 3.
It's not, and I do want to phrase this very carefully, because I don't think it has much to do with Zeal. If you put any foreigner in this spot, I think any foreigner would be acting the same way.
Yeah,
I've watched a lot of Zeal replays of him playing against, like, Xenocider. I've watched him play against Huck. I've played against him. I know he has the capabilities of playing at the top level. It's just this is the top level of the world. Hydra is just such a force to be reckoned with. It's so hard to deal with a guy like him.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because Hydra makes pretty much everybody look bad. Yeah. Just saying. Like, Showtime played an amazing series against Kane in the round of 8 for the finals of WCS Season 1. Hydra made Showtime look bad. Like, Hydra is so good, most people just look bad playing against him. Especially when when he's not playing against other top Koreans. So,
but that's why we're trying to, like, figure
trying
out
to be
the puzzle.
fair, we're like, what could
Yeah.
you really do if you were trying to win in a situation where the other guy is so heavily favored against you? And honestly, I mean, you could give me like 10 games against Hydra with my Protoss. I would not be able to think of anything that's going to actually.
I'd be happy
take
if
a
I
map.
won one.
Yeah. Oh,
Because-
I'd be jubilant. I would never. I would get it. I would make sure that someone was there to have seen it and notarize a copy of the replay that would be on a floppy disk, and I would frame it and put it on my wall.
Floppy disk. I don't think it'll fit on a floppy disk, actually.
A replay
Unfortunately.
file.
Yeah.
Man.
It's only 2.14 megabytes. Do you not?
No, replay files don't. You can get, unless you're taking Avalo's replays, they're not going to break a megabyte.
Are you sure?
The replay files.
Okay.
Not a, yeah.
Okay.
The replay
I
files
trust
are quite
you.
small.
I thought they were like
They're just a set of instructions.
5 megs or something like that.
No.
I'm wrong.
No, maybe like, yeah, the Swarm host games get big.
Yeah.
But even then, yeah. We're loaded into
Okay.
game number 3, guys, on Vani Research Station in the south position, representing Root Gaming. We have the Red Zerg player up 2-0. He's Hydra.
And over in the north side, our protest player representing Brawl Esports, it is Zeal. Formerly Ire,
Yeah.
but he had to change
Oh,
his
yeah.
name.
You know, actually, that reminds me of a great story. So last year, Rotterdam, Todd and I, or it was organized by Todd. He ran like a big night, basically, where we ran a bunch of show matches. And, you know, we had a bit of fun, and we were sending players to one of the Red Bull tournaments, one of the WCS satellite tournaments, basically. And Zeal, or Ire, actually won one of the qualifiers. He was actually able, you know, and Todd got him hooked him up. He was able to go compete at a live event. I believe it was Battlegrounds Detroit. He actually won the qualifying game. I think it might have been against No Regret with a 1-base Immortal Sentry push on Catalina.
Wow.
That's why I will never forget this guy, because I saw him win a game with a 1-base Immortal Sentry push.
It works?
It worked. That game.
Works? Question mark? Man, you can tell this guy's from Root.
Yeah, well,
When he's taking
Hydra
2
spends
gold
so much.
bases and a
Yeah,
best of
Hydra
5.
spends so much time with cats.
Yeah.
You know, just like sometimes. But that's the thing. You combine the crazy mind of someone like Cats with the mechanical prowess of someone like Hydra, and you just get something that's scary.
Do you want to be sick if Zeal went and took his gold base? Or no, took the gold base in the mid left-hand position. Yeah.
That would just. I think I've seen Roddy do that off of like proxy Stargates. I don't know.
Oh, his Tempest build?
Yeah. Actually, I guess he's probably taking it more so. I think his Tempest build would actually be really good if you were to take it either against a Zerg or a Terran if you took their gold base. Because then you can just hit the natural from across the gap.
Oh.
It's pretty dirty.
Yeah.
Then they just take the other base.
But there's access to the main base. That's the biggest
Oh yeah,
problem.
you can hit both of them.
Oh, no, I mean, like, the defender can just attack the main base via ground.
Oh yeah,
That's
too.
the biggest problem.
That's also an issue.
So I think, well, we're theory.
We're like theory crafting to the extreme
We're
here.
theory crafting PvT. That's how much we miss our Terran, bro. That's how much we miss him.
I'll proffer that you could try it against Zerg.
Yep.
Try, not necessarily win.
All right.
Zeal did go for a fast expand once again this game.
So
But
what-
really, what's his play? Like, what does he do this time? Trying the same thing again would still be.
I think you gateway
pretty
all in,
ballsy.
man.
Yeah,
I think you gateway all in. You go up to
You
like
might as well.
you go up to
2 base.
38 probes, something like that.
So here's something that you can do on this map when
Uh-huh.
your Zerg opponent does this specific thing to you. And I saw Showtime do this against Snoot in the Fragbite Masters, and he basically said he like feigned pressure to the gold, and Snoot got a bunch of spines at the gold. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna kill my gold base. I'm gonna have all this extra economy. And then he just went over to the main base, and his sentry, 1 force field, cuts that main off.
Oh, dirty.
Yeah.
That's sick,
Yeah.
man.
Now I don't know if Zeal watches a lot of Showtime or European tournaments for that matter, but it would be pretty gnarly to see him bust something like that out and basically say, you can have your gold base, I'll take your main.
Yeah, I think that's the ideal way.
Like, playing what makes sense is probably the worst idea against Hydra, because he will have already thought of that, because he's, you know, he plays the game a lot and he's very good. So you have to do what makes the least amount of sense in a weird way. You know?
Yeah, it's the high-level protest versus protest that I was talking about before, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you're doing things that are inefficient, but they make sense within the game and within, like, trying to get small advantages on your opponent. So I feel you, Nate. I feel you. I know what you're saying. Now, let's see what he does. He still hasn't gotten his 3rd and 4th gas, We don't see any production tech facilities up like Robo, Stargate, anything like that. So I think we're gonna just see probably like 6 gateways being thrown down, and he's gonna go ham.
Yeah, that could work. He's taking his gas as natural again.
Okay.
Is he just gonna do this? He's gonna try it again. I'm getting the impression that's what he's gonna do, unless this is another like fake out. Is there even an overlord there to be baited? Okay, the stalker's gonna push him away. He might have seen one gas start up. He has no other overlords out on the map, by the way. It's just these two, so he can't see the bottom side of the main or the bottom side of the natural. So if he wanted to only play even just 3 gases, he could get away with it. But it doesn't look like that's what he wants to do.
No, he's going up to 4 gas, man.
He's getting the Forge again. He's going to go for another fast third. Zeal's actually going to play this game 3 straight up.
And it's not even a fast third. And also, the Zerg has an economic boost with that gold. You can look and see with the income. I mean, it's just... we already have Hydra on 3-base economy, basically. 1,600 minerals is 3-base fully saturated economy. But if you look at the income, it's only 43 harvesters out in the field. That's how much that gold base really helps out.
Yeah, it's a huge boost to your economy. And with this, he can crank out enough lings to smack down any 3rd base that Zeal could try for. And I think that's the important thing to note compared to the last game. Like this map, especially with how open it is, I really feel like if Hydra wants to, he could do exactly what we saw Kane do on this map against Pili. And that's just be like, no,
yeah.
Just swat it down.
Just continuous aggression, time and time again. And I think definitely Hydra's in a better position than what we saw Pili against Kane. So this is a tough spot for Zeal. I mean, if ever I saw a response to gold bases, this is definitely one of the toughest responses. By no means is it bad. By no means is it the wrong thing to do. It's just putting you in a spot where you're slightly behind going into the mid game, and you need to make sure your micro and your scouting is on point. If it's not, any little slips, you're going to be punished immediately.
Yeah. If we compare this to Pili's game, though, there's a lot more sentries here for Zeal than Pili had. So he has a bit more to work with, and that makes it much more difficult for Hydra to try to make a jump. In fact, he has enough force fields to actually wrap around the Nexus on top of him so that he can prevent the Lings from getting us around and diving on it. And we can see, look at this. He's got the cannon in, these 2 gateways. This is actually a really, really nice setup on this third. Actually quite impressive, but that hive should be coming in soon.
That's the scary part, man. Like, really, all the tempo goes in favor of Zerg, even though, you know, we haven't seen anything done yet, right? We haven't seen any units being produced. Hydra's not putting on any aggression. But right off the bat, because of economy, well, what are you doing?
What are you doing out here? This isn't where you belong. Go home, drones. I think they're going to go home.
Nope, they're not.
They wanted to be warriors.
They want to be warriors, man. What I was saying before is, just right off the bat, because the economic advantage that the Zerg has, you have the capabilities of teching to anything that you want, and the Protoss have to react. So if it's air, it's really scary. What are we seeing?
Flying locusts.
Flying locusts.
It's Hydra. Hydra's having too much fun now.
He is, man.
I think Hydra's decided he wants to have a little extra fun with this game. That's why he brought 2 drones out to fight. Oh no, they're going home.
If there's ever a map to do it on, though, it's definitely this map.
This is the best map for the flying locusts in the current pool. Coda can be good sometimes, but I think this is the best.
Yeah, because the natural is so far away from the 3rd base, you can actually fly the locusts out and make them attack the.
You can hit both bases. You can hit both the main or the natural with the flying locusts.
That's true.
And those swarm hosts, man, they move so fast. Like the stalkers can't catch them. You need to blink, and even then, the swarm host can still get away.
That's right. With good timed, I don't know, Zerglings popping out or fungal growths or whatnot, you can guarantee that those swarm hosts will get away. The problem, though, swarm hosts don't have a lot of inherent power in continuous attacks. So if a Protoss does push, which I think Protoss will push with this blink hole in, if he catches the swarm hosts undeveloped, so they're not over on his the opponent's side of the map, he will be in a spot where he can do timings based on the locusts being, you know, on cooldown. But we're going to find out right here. As four swarm hosts will make it to the top right hand
corner. It's not a lot of swarm hosts. I think it's the thing is the locusts are so powerful that they can still do a lot of damage.
These 5 can kill a Nexus.
Yeah, I think actually if he targets on the Nexus, he should be able to kill it. And we're not even joking with you guys. Locusts are really, really strong. Flying Locust upgrade is done in 10 seconds, and that is going to be what prompts him to make this first. Oh, come on!
No!
That just
He completed the job. Man.
Did he? Hydra.
Oh,
that you know, don't you hate when you just send your locust wave out just a bit too early? That's the worst feeling.
That is the worst feeling, man.
Well,
and he has to wait like a minute.
Yeah, that cooldown is actually so long. That really puts a huge dent in his ability to be aggressive in this game. I can't believe I just saw that. Okay. Oh my god. Well, he's trying to buy time with this army, but this gateway force is huge. The Lings and Roaches are going to try to surround this. Roaches from the top side, Lings on the bottom. That Immortal safely protect. These are phenomenal force fields. None of the Roaches are able to fight this army whatsoever. There's a Locust. He recalls, and the Locust wave shows up. Target the Nexus. Target the Nexus. Oh, he does. He targets it.
Look at how fast this Nexus goes down, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's so close. Oh, don't wait for another wave. Oh, he hit the key. He wasted a couple of eyes on the cannon, and the cannon killed one of the Locusts.
It could have been able to kill that Nexus.
Yeah, he should have been able to kill the Nexus. He's probably done the math on that.
Did the math.
They did the math.
That's what I love about Hydra, man. You can guarantee.
Yeah, when you got Cats, you know, I know that Cats actually, like, he consults formulas and stuff for figuring out what he can afford and what certain units can do to other units.
If there's one thing I love besides gas timings and building armor, it's math, Nate. Love math.
I can tell. I can tell, Greetor.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. Nothing at all. So this big army is pushing out. It looks like Zeal wants to take a fourth base. Hydra, because of the throwaway last time, like Zeal has actually achieved a borderline max. Army kills the fourth base without it being able to be. Excuse me, it's a fifth base.
Great force fields.
Yeah, once again, the Roaches are having a really tough time actually getting on top of this army. Some of these Templars show up, but not necessary here. There's that Nexus of Locust, and he's like, yeah, this Nexus is dead. And as you can see, the power of the Locust is quite strong, but that's a solid, what, if he has 5 Locusts, and 5 Swarm Hosts, and there are 3 supply, Greetorp, how much supply does he have that's dead for 60 seconds?
15 supply.
Wow. So that actually means that Hydra is playing around with roughly 180 supply versus close to 160. So if you take that into army supply account, they're actually quite close, and this makes it very scary. These Vipers are going to be super important. He tries to snipe one. Yeah. Oh, there's the Blinding Clouds.
Nice. Very nicely done. He just has to wait for time to elapse. That Blinding Cloud will go ahead and disintegrate, and he will be able to push in here. He has a pretty scary Oh,
there's Ultralisks now.
Where did those come from, bro?
I mean, he squeezed them out. This army is not necessarily terrible versus if he's able to fight away from it, but there's the Storms on top of the Roaches. The Ultralisks are pushed back. The Immortal Anchor in this army actually really works well against the Ultras because there's not enough Lings to draw away the targeting of them.
But you know, those Queen Transfuses helped out so much to tank up. Of course, getting rid of all the force fields helped immensely, and now the Immortal will go down.
Yeah, it's really good target fire on the Ultralisks to pick off 3 of them, but he loses the Immortals, and that means any follow-up pressure will be super hard to deal with. Did he send out another wave of Locusts yet?
Meanwhile, there was another wave that was attacking into the main base, and remember, Protoss does not have his natural anymore, but he was able to take that 4th base over in the mid-left-hand position. However, the main base is mining out, so he needs this for the 3-base economy. Unfortunately, not looking good as a lot more Zerg is swarming into the 4th.
Yeah, these Stalkers are doing their best to blink away, but at the same time, the Roach is killing these forces. Another wave of Locusts is sent into the main. He can pop off that cannon and kill the Cyber Core. GG is called. Hydra advances 3-0 over Zeal, and we have ourselves the 3 players advancing on from the first day of the World Championship Series Challenger.
We had great force fields come out from Zeal in that last game. The problem is, I think, where he was fighting. I mean, he had to expend a lot of force fields.
Denying the 5th base was really good. Like, he did a great job of that, but I don't know if it was he didn't have an observer or he hadn't waited for the creep spread to go away.
When you're crossing the map, you have to hug aside. And when you hug aside, you don't have to force field so much. But you saw, like, we had a complete 360 force field to keep Roaches away.
This was epic. Like, none of these Roaches are hitting him, except the one that was inside the force fields already. And that was really cool.
That was a 360 arc, great force fields, but we don't want them to be placed here. Hug aside, be able to just, you know, force field at max like 180 degrees, and then you'll be able to have better engagements.
And with the Ultralisks being able to fight on creep at the end, like, if you want to kite Ultras, it's actually not the most difficult thing to do, but you got to be off creep. Like, you've denied the 5th base. You're not going to kill that 3rd if you're not going to kill the 3rd base. You got to try to choke them out and build up more Immortals behind that army. But that does it for day 1. We have 3 players that have moved on. We had Stardust winning 3-2 over Huck, Kane winning 3-0 over Pilly, and Hydra with another 3-0 over Zeal. So there are your 3 players moving on. These guys will all be competing in WCS Premier League starting up, I believe, next month. And tomorrow we'll be finishing up Challenger. So 4 more best of 5s to bring you guys. We'll kick things off with Violet versus QXC. Then we'll go to Puck versus Xenocider. Then Estrella versus Masa. And finish things off with Suppy versus J-Donk. Greetorp, we're getting the Terran action.
I know, I can't wait. And we got an EG double kill, which is unfortunate right there. But, I mean, that's going to be a really exciting match. Suppy on a tear recently in, I would say, esports in general.
Yeah, well, he just got his whole tuition paid for by Blizzard when with UC Berkeley winning Heroes of the Dorm. So let's see how well. I'm curious how much ZvZ he's been practicing in the last week. As well, we'll find out tomorrow, I guess, guys. One more time, if you have anything you want to say to us, give us a shout out on Twitter, #WCS, and tweet at us at StarCraft. But that's all I got to say, Greetorp. I think we're done here.
Yep, I think so. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We will catch you tomorrow, same time, same place. Be there.